Okay guys, today I wanted to do a quick tutorial on how to add Google Maps to Flutter project. The project we're working on is Austin Feeds Me Flutter. It's been a while since I've done a video, so I might be a little rusty. But here's kind of what it looks like right now. The app is called Flutter Feeds Me, and it's got a list view with events with free food, and then a map view. And right now we're using a plugin called, I think, Flutter Maps, which is a great plugin, but we're going to transition it or migrate it over to Google Maps Flutter. So let's start that process. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go to the plugin website and find our dependency. Our dependency is going to be called Google Maps Flutter. And let's grab that and let's update our pubspec.yaml. So we're going to override our previous, or replace our previous dependency with Google Maps Flutter and do a sync. And we can also see we've got this Google Maps Flutter import to get access to the dependency from, or add the namespace for that dependency when we start developing. Okay, so that's finished. So we've got a map view. Let's look for that event map view. And we've no longer got this Flutter map dependency available. And we're also going to try to replace the lat long dependency as well. So in this, let's go look at how we've added our dependency to the project, and we've added our import for that dependency on the widget or view that we were showing our map on, which is this right here. Let's look at how we use this. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get a key on Google Cloud Maps platform. I've already done that, and we need to add it to our Android manifest. So let's do that. We're in our manifest. I think it goes underneath the application node. So here we're in our app. This is our activity. I'm going to go just right below our activity and put in this metadata key, and it says your key here. That key you will need to get from this website. It says right here. I'm going to quickly stop streaming so that I can, or turn this IDE off so I can go and add this key without showing the entire internet the key that I'm using. So I'm just going to quickly replace your key here with the key that I got off the Google Cloud Platform site. Okay, so now here we go. We're back streaming the desktop. So once we do that, on iOS you have to take another step to specify your key. That's defined here. We're just going to work on the Android implementation today, and then I'll fix up the iOS implementation later. So let's look at how we use this thing. So it looks like the main widget or type here is called Google Map. So we're going to replace our Flutter map with the Google Map. And then we will do map type. You know what? To start off, what we're going to do is we're just going to copy this body right here, or this Google Map definition. So let's do that. Let's just copy and paste that. Our controller is showing as undefined. So let's define our controller within our state. So I'm going to go up here. We're in our state object here. We've got a list of markers. Right under that, I'm going to define a controller. It says it cannot find the completer type, so we're going to import Dart sync. Let's also define the camera position because that is the initial position for the map. So this could be anything. We're just going to follow this example to begin with. And then I'm going to comment out our creation of our markers, which is what we had working on our previous implementation, and we'll get that working once we validate that this works. So I'm going to go into terminal and do a Flutter Run. You can also press play up here. With that, you'll get hot reload. I'm not certain this is going to work, so I'm just going to do Flutter Run here so I can get as much debug logging that I'm used to reading here. Okay, so lat long is not found, so we need to get a lat long type. So we've got right here our event repository is giving us an error because we had a lat long type, but we no longer have that. So let's see if Google Map gives us a lat long type. It looks like it might. So we're going to do that import. And that was on the event repository. And we've also got one on our model class. So we need to update this import. Change out this type. Okay. And if you know a way to quickly change out your imports across multiple files, please feel free to comment. Okay, so we're building. While this is building, let's see how we do markers here. So let's go back to, as we look through this example, we can see there aren't any examples of markers here. So but we can look and see there's a GitHub repository, and it's kind of a big repository, but if you scroll down, you'll see that there are links for all the plugins that exist in this repo. And then we'll go to the example, and then inside the example repo, we can see that there's a lib directory, and we're going to go to marker icons, and hopefully that has something with how to create markers inside the using this new plugin. So I'm just going to quickly search for marker and highlight all. Okay, we got all kinds of marker usage here. And, okay, and then we've got right here, this looks, line 53 looks like a good spot to look on how to create a marker. So we give them an ID, we give them position, and we give them an icon. And it looks like we got through all the way to install, so let's go back to our emulator and see. Actually, this is a real device that I'm showing on the screen using a tool called Android Screen Monitor, which has been a great tool so far. It's open source and uses ADB to basically stream the video or the display. Okay, so we're loading our events, and let's go to map. Let's see if our map actually works. I don't know. Okay, so and we've got the Googleplex, which is where we centered it. Okay. I'm not a huge fan of getting the full satellite view to begin with, but this is okay. Let's work on adding our markers. And also, let's change the default map type to street if we can. So let's go back to our map view. And where's our Google Maps? So hybrid, let's just see if there is a street here. What are the types here? Normal. Okay, let's do normal. And Googleplex, let's rename this to initial position. initial map position. And then what is the, what is the default, what is the latitude and longitude of Austin? Let's see if we can figure that out. So we've got about 30, 48. I don't know where this place is, but, and then 977. So let's do that. I think it's going to be, yeah. So let's do that. I'm just going to cancel that real quick. So now we should be centered around Austin when we initially load. This is some neighborhood in Austin, but it's okay. Brushy Creek. Kind of north here, so whatever. 3026, that sounds about, that's a little bit more accurate. All right. So let's work on our markers. I'm going to uncomment this. Our marker doesn't take, it no longer takes a width and height. It takes an icon, and it should be taking a position, I imagine, somewhere. Okay, so position right here, it's got a default position of 0.0, so that's really what we need to work on. Point. So our old class had a point. We're going to modify that to position. And it had a builder for the icon. Does this marker have an on tap? It has an on tap. So what we're going to do is we're going to modify this builder to be on tap. And we're going to make it a gesture detector. And actually we can just do this because it's probably got a gesture detector built in. So that was a pretty quick, easy migration from Flutter Map to Google Maps. So let's see what we're doing here. We're getting our events from our repository, and then we're taking those events, and for each event we are creating a marker using the latitude, longitude field in that event for that event, and then we're specifying the on tap for that marker. And we've got an on event click method, which is really full on. Oh, I think it's because we're doing a bottom sheet. So I need to clean this up. And we pass it that event. And then we add this marker that we just created to our list of markers. And then we set the state of this widget to reflect the markers that we just added. So let's do a Flutter Run and see what happens here. We should be centered next time when we run somewhere around Austin, and we should have around 3 markers. And on map created, on complete controller. So basically, okay. I think because the map will take less time than our repository, that we should be okay, but it could be the case that our map's not created when we tried to assign the markers to it. Oh, and you know what? We don't have these markers assigned to the map anywhere. So we need to make that assignment. So let's look at how we do that in our example. So there should be some kind of Google Map object in here. Okay, and we can see it right here. And it looks like on our Google Map object, there's a markers field. So let's set that to the markers in our widget. So let's do markers. then we're just going to assign it markers. Okay, and it actually needs to be a set. So our last dependency, I think we can do this. Okay, there we go. And then we need to make this a set as well. And likewise, we need to. Okay, so is our Google Map type happy? It is. And while we're doing that, we're not going to have our markers yet because, so we're going to go valley, which is this park right here is actually a pretty nice spot. It's got a dedicated bike path that kind of goes all the way to Maynard. So let's kick off another build, and I'll start using the play button so we can get hot reload. But everything should, I think, work. We'll see though. Let's check out our example again and see if there's anything specific. So we've got a build method, we've got a create marker image from asset, which is a future, and it looks like they're creating a custom image from an asset in the project. So we're not going to do that because we're going to use the default markers for now. In the Android version of Austin Feeds Me, we have different markers based on the type of free food. So pizza might have a pizza marker, and free beer might have a beer marker, and then default marker is actually an apple. All right, so this thing's building, it's taking its sweet time. It just loaded, we just installed it, it's loading. All right, here are our events. Let's go to map. And let's see if we get 3 markers. Uh-oh, that's not good. The getter value was called on null. Tried calling value. So let's see what our stack trace is in here. So we've got some async code here. Missing plug, no implementation found for method polylines update on channel plugins. It's kind of hard for me to read this, so let's see if we can regenerate this exception. Let's go back to list, and let's go back to okay, so it's line 227. I'm trying to find out where in our code the exception is happening. Missing plugin exception. No implementation found for method polygons. So I've never seen this one. So let's I think we're gonna have to search. Try calling value. Okay. So it's when we're adding markers. Let's go back to our example and see if there's any asynchronous handling for our markers. I don't see any. You know what? We need to give our markers an ID. It looks like the marker ID field is required. It's kind of hard to determine that from this stack trace, but we didn't give our markers an ID, and it looks like, I bet that's required. So we're going to do a current event, and we're going to, hopefully there's an ID field here. It doesn't look like there is, but there is a name. I wonder if hash code would work. No. Produce string? No. What is the value type of marker? Oh, marker ID. Okay. And marker ID takes a string. So we're going to do current event dot. I guess we could do name, but I don't want to get name clashes. I'm going to do, and hash code is an int. What if we do toString? And what is the hash code implementation? Okay. So we're just going to go with that, see if that works. So let's press play here, do a build and deployment, see if we get back to, get to where we would like to be. And that's kind of a difficult exception. The getter value was called on null, and that's actually coming back up from the Google Map library where we're adding the marker. It's looking for a marker ID and it's not finding it. And I'm surprised we didn't get any indicators in the IDE saying marker ID is required. That's curious. Space this out a little bit. All right, just deploying. Whee! Okay. All right. Let's go to our map. Hopefully let's see, are we getting any crazy exceptions? No, not yet. Let's zoom out. Do we have any markers on the map? I'm zooming out my fingers on the device. We've got 3 markers, so it worked. All right, guys, so that's kind of how we add Google Maps to a Flutter app. This was actually a migration and not a clean add, but the steps should be very similar. And I'm going to remove the Google Map API key from the manifest, and then I'm going to push this and merge it to the repo, and I'll put the name of the repo in the comments. But this is just kind of a fun app to experiment with. So that's how you add Google Maps to a Flutter app. Thank you all for listening, and if you have any comments, please leave them. And if you have anything you'd like to see, let me know that as well. Thank you.